The MLS UK Show.
2020 MLS champions are the Columbus Crew. On episode 20 of season 3, you said that Seattle would win, maybe quite comfortably. I said Columbus might win, stretch it, scrape at a draw, and then win on penalties. As it turned out, Columbus won 3-0. Yet again proving we don't have a clue.
Not a clue. It's the toughest league in the world to predict. Even when you've got a choice of two, you probably get it wrong. I think, first of all, I know it's kind of the home advantage, but Seattle have got to be disappointed with that, because I think, not taking away from the game, I think if you just look in general, a really simplified view of things, Seattle are a team that have been there and they've done it and they've won it recently with a pretty similar roster, very similar roster in fact, and you kind of expected them to just go and do the business. I don't think it was strange to expect that, but the home advantage for Columbus and the start that they made, it was incredible, and they deserve it 100%.
Yeah, and you've got to remember Santos, Nagbe out for COVID, so two of their best players were out.
And they were missing a lot of players in the semi-final as well.
They were.
And the conference final.
Yeah, and he absolutely controlled it. Seattle were never in it, really. They had a few chances in the first half, a few corners in the second half, but we're never in it. It was such a great performance, and some are even arguing that it's the most dominant MLS Cup final performance ever.
It's definitely, since I've been watching it, but that's only about 5 years, so I think...
That's true. Rather than look back now, because we're going to look back at the whole season in a moment, but I want to look forward with Columbus Crew. They've got a new season, a new stadium next season.
Yeah.
Can they have a bit of a run of dominance now in MLS?
I don't see why not. The stadium has to work to their advantage, of course. I know maybe next year is going to be a little bit too soon in terms of getting it full, getting that capacity right up and getting all the fans back in. I know that, which is a shame. But I think if you look at the roster they've got, they made good moves. Yeah. And we spoke about this in the early episodes of this season. We could see a mile off that was a strong team. I think the questions were around Jesse Zardes and whether he was going to find form. He's got them goals this year and it's been crucial. There's an episode really early on where I am waxing lyrical about Zelarayhan because he just looked incredible. The footage I saw, the stats I saw before they got hold of him, and he's slotted in really well, and obviously he's performed. I think it's just the difficult thing in MLS is keeping that roster together. Yeah. You know, survive with Austin coming in, surviving the expansion draft. You can only protect 12 players. You know, surviving trades coming in. You've got to keep that together and somehow strengthen it as well, because you know everyone else is going to be stronger next year. So all signs point to a little bit of dominance from Columbus next year if they can do those simple things really well.
Well, you're looking at you said the squad and adding to it. Rumours are that they're after Bradley Wright-Phillips, who, he's now a bit part MLS player. We know that he's a bench player who has shown with LAFC can come off the bench and score goals. Is that the kind of player that Columbus Crew need? They seem pretty set up front, so it's just somebody who can come on. Because
they play with wingers. So if you look at the runs that Bradley Wright-Phillips likes to make, even at his ripe old age, he will still get to that front post, get across the goalkeeper. He's got. We've seen it with LAFC. He's done it obviously for years. He's done it with Red Bulls. He will make those runs. He'll get there. He'll get that crucial touch. He'll tap it in. We've seen goals from him at LAFC this season, just nicking it past the goalkeeper. And you know, with magic like Zelarayhan on the wing, crossing it in. That's a signing I'd like to see, to be honest with you. But of course they've got Zardes. It's not like they're completely without a goal scorer. There's teams that would definitely benefit from BWP, I would say, more than Columbus. They're not the most in need of BWP, I would say.
Yes, but I mean, for me, I think it's a testament to him to show that he remains at the top of the the top side of the standings. You know, Columbus, LAFC went from Red Bulls. He could easily have dropped down to a team who is traditionally at the bottom. Let's say Orlando, for example.
I was waiting for it.
But no, he's. I think it would be a great signing for Columbus. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I know they give out MVPs before MLS Cup. Pozuelo got it this year. Zelarayan, should he feel now a bit disappointed? Maybe he weren't in more of a shout of it.
Yeah, I think he's had an amazing first season. We saw from the first game. Remember before lockdown, before the break, we saw a real peach of a goal from Zelarayan early on in the season, and I think it kind of set the trend, set the bar for where he was going to be. I do think he was unlucky. I really do. I think there were some real standout players this year. I think there was some great breakthrough players that also haven't been awarded. We've seen players that if you don't follow a team, it takes a couple of games for you to be like, oh, who's this kid?
Yeah.
And I think Zelarayan for Columbus is definitely one of those. I think the likes of DK at Orlando as a draft pick, incredible. We've seen so many names come through this year where you go, wow.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Zelarayan's stats, and I know he scored 6, assisted 4. He's played, I think he played like 8 or 9 games less than Pozuelo.
Yeah.
So, they tend to go off stats for these sort of things. But if you think Pozuelo in his second season, maybe Zelarayan next year, that's where he could be a shout to win it next year. But I think the influence he's had on Columbus, especially within the second part of the season, has been terrific, and he was man of the match in the MLS Cup. He's got them the win. Just a quick one then on Seattle. They'll be disappointed, but overall, it's been a good few years for them, and you won't bet against them being in the same position next year.
They'll come again, and that's the thing. They'll be there again, and I think Columbus are maybe at a point where they need. Yes, they won, but they need to get themselves to that next level so that they are on a level playing field with Seattle now. I think Seattle are much more established in this whole kind of MLS Cup. They've got an incredible roster. I think Columbus, if they add a few more pieces, will be at that same level of stature that Seattle are, and those two will battle it out again very soon.
Yeah, and Seattle this year, it was the first year, well, since we've watched it, that they've not had a Jekyll and Hyde season.
Yeah.
They normally either start really badly and end well, or they'll start really well, sort of tail off, still make the playoffs. So
they've been consistent. And that's a sign of improvement. Yeah, they didn't win, but that's a real sign of improvement. You can get to MLS Cup many, many ways, as they've demonstrated. Columbus didn't win a single away game all season, which is a joke.
It's incredible. That is, if there was ever a stat, apart from Sporting KC going from first to 13th to first or whatever it was, if there's ever a stat to just show MLS as a whole, it's that one. The fact that Columbus Crew have won the whole thing by... They had an almost perfect home record, but then they had a dreadful away record. They didn't win a game, and they've won it. That's, it's MLS.
And at this point, you're almost scared to move them to the new stadium. I know it's going to be better, but it's kind of like it's kind of working pretty well where we are, guys.
Yeah, I think there's still the sort of glow from the post save the crew thing. And I tweeted after the game, actually, I thought that win has got to be dedicated for everyone who worked so hard to save the crew, and it was magnificent to see that is a nice 18-month ending to that. So fair play to them, well done. And if that's not enough, winning MLS Cup, because they won it, it means that our final Henry's Guide to North America, we are visiting Columbus. So for the final time this season, Elliot, you know what to do. It's time for Henry's Guide to Columbus.
Famous, of course, for its country music.
Hey, Elliot!
Hey, Henry!
Did you know Columbus is Ohio's state capital and is the 15th biggest city in the US?
I didn't, actually.
Nickname for the city is the Arch City, and that's because about 100 years ago, all the streetlights used to be on arches over the road.
Very nice.
It's one of the cities as well that is famous for the Doodah Parade. Now,
so
the Doodah Parade. Now,
what do you do? Get your doodah out?
Almost. You can dress up in a variety of costumes and basically whatever you want, and you go on a parade down the street. They also do it in other areas of the country as well, but the Doodah Parade in Columbus happens traditionally on the 4th of July every year. Although this year it wasn't as much of a walking parade, they had to do it driving because of COVID
to get your doodah out on Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I've just spat all over. It's not very
COVID secure.
Kolo the gorilla was the oldest captive gorilla in the world and was at the Columbus Zoo until he died in 2017. He was born in the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah. In 2013, the city was named the most intelligent in the US, and there is an Arnold Schwarzenegger statue in the city. He's a bronze statue, and he's like this.
Is it as good as the Beckham statue?
It's better than the Beckham statue, much better. It's also got the world's biggest gavel. Do you know what the lawyer, the
Oh yeah.
judges? Yeah. It's a silver statue. It's massive. It's a silver kind of statue, and that's in the city as well.
Wow.
We talked last time on the Henry's Guide to Atlanta about weird laws where in Atlanta it's illegal to have an ice cream cone in your back pocket. I've got some laws here that are in Ohio and Columbus. One of them, my favourite one, because this is just completely random, is that it is illegal for women to wear leather shoes because they feel that the gloss on them, people could look at them and look up the skirts. Obviously, it's not put into practice anymore, but that is a law. It's illegal.
Okay.
Yeah. And finally, R.L. Stine, who wrote the Goosebumps books, he's from Columbus.
And you've forgotten one major character that's from Columbus, from a series that we both love.
Now, I saw this. I did see this. So the guy who plays Ted Mosby, he's called Josh Radnor.
Josh Radnor, yeah.
In How I Met Your Mother. He's from Columbus. So great knowledge there of that. But, I just felt maybe R.L. Stine is a more random and perhaps slightly more famous, would you say?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So that is Henry's Guide to Columbus.